The Apostle Paul said some unfashionable things in the letters he wrote to the Gentile churches in the first century. Here's one in Colossians chapter 3 and verse 20. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing unto the Lord. I think it's children of pretty much any age that's directed to. If your parents are alive, respect them and do what they say. If they're deceased, honour their memory. The message in Colossians repeats what the dear apostle told the church at Ephesus in Ephesians chapter 6. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honour thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. It's a done thing when preaching this sort of message to remind parents of Ephesians 6 verse 4, but I'm not going there. I don't want you to be distracted from this single, simple point. Honour and obey your parents. And of course, Paul has just restated the fifth commandment, the one, as he says, with a promise attached. We find it in Deuteronomy chapter 5 and here in Exodus chapter 20 and verse 12. Honour thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. It's not easy for white Europeans, North Americans, those in Australia and New Zealand to respect their parents. We've had this younger generation culture running rampant for around 60 years. It's fueled disrespect of everyone in any kind of authority. Okay, some of those in authority may not have conducted themselves very well, so I may be describing just part of the steady rot of Western culture. Nevertheless, that puts an even greater demand on those of us who own the name of Jesus to set an example in a society where people routinely disrespect their parents. You know, across the Middle East, Asia and Africa, I don't know about South America, you just do not talk back to your elder brother or sister, let alone to your parents or aunts or uncles. The culture of respect is still there. Christians from those lands who end up in the West need to watch you don't start adopting the ways of the indigenous culture. It's so easy to fall into decadent Western habits. Because the Bible is clear. We're to honour, obey, even fear our parents. I understood this only about 20 years ago. I'd been a Christian for 15 years and it hadn't clicked. But suddenly it did, and I never answered my father or my mother back from that point on. I honour them to this day. Now, you may have parents who are difficult, but the commandment does not come with exceptions. Only if they tell you to do something against the law of God must you say no. And let's acknowledge, you may have to forgive a parent for some wrong. But you know, forgiveness moves mountains. We'll come back to that one day for sure. So I want you to take away from this nano sermon that you speak well to your parents and well about them. Give them esteem in private and in public. Never speak ill of them, ever. Maybe give modern Western culture a poke in the eye by seeking your parents' advice and their wisdom. And as they get older, care for them and support them. Learn from those places in the world where aged parents are not those inconvenient things other people look after. And be sure there's a blessing waiting for you when you do this. The fifth commandment comes with a promise from God. Doing it pleases the Lord. Now, why is it only this commandment which carries a promise? Well, maybe because it implies respect for all those with authority over us and protects the very existence of society itself. Or perhaps because obeying your parents is a reflection of your obedience to God himself. Either way, obeying your parents is that important in your walk with the Lord.